Hello guys. So here are 4 crucial mistakes that you do when you're trying to manifest anything, whether it's your specific person, money, a job, a career, whatever you want. So there are 4 crucial mistakes in perceiving your 3D. So the first mistake is that you perceive your 3D as an outer separate reality from you. That you're here in your room and you're trying to manifest something, you're doing your inner conversation, your imaginal acts, but you expect the 3D to answer differently. And that's when you think that the 3D has a brain of its own, you think it's separate, and that you are molding the reality into something when actually the 3D is never the reality. You are the reality and the 3D is the reflection. So you're not out here molding facts set in stone, solid, as you might think, but you're actually determining what's going to come next because the 3D was never real. The 3D was never set in stone and it never existed on its own accordance. So the 3D is a reflection, a product of your imagination. Now, the second mistake is waiting. You're commanding your decision, you're commanding your SP, you're commanding your boss, you're commanding your circumstance, and then you wait. You find yourself in a waiting state, waiting to see whether it's going to happen or not. And that's when you set time frames and you set you force yourself and you say today, he's going to call today, they're going to take me in today. And then you find yourself waiting the day and the day never happens. Why? Because you're in a waiting state instead of just commanding and deciding that it is going to happen, not waiting to see whether it will happen or not. This is also assuming that the 3D has free will and therefore can reject your assumption. It cannot bring it forth, okay? Number 3, caring what your SP says, caring what your boss says, caring what the circumstance says, when in fact, you should never care about this. You should never care what's happening in your 3D. Why? Because you are actually, when you're looking in your 3D, you're looking at old news. You're looking in a broadcast that it's in replay. Okay, that broadcast is not happening live in front of you, but it's actually the replay of a broadcast that happened live in your mind. So don't care what your 3D says. Don't care what your specific person says. Even if they say something, it's not about them. It's not about what they do. It's not about what they think. It's about what you want. It's about what you think. Okay, because you have the last word. Now, I know that when the 3D is in your face, is quite struggling to intermingle with it, but you shouldn't care. As the operant power of your reality, you shouldn't care. If your SP said, I have a third party, you shouldn't care. Why should you care? That's about them. It's not about you. You say what you want and then you allow it to happen. Now, if your boss says, I'm not going to give you a raise, you shouldn't care what your boss says, okay? You shouldn't care about all that. Your money, what your bank account says, you shouldn't care about that, right? You should only care about what you want. And now the 4th crucial mistake that you do and delays your manifestation and can even not get your manifestation is you're taking way too much action in the 3D. So instead of being here and controlling your mindset and giving the commands and allowing it to happen, you're taking too much action in the 3D. Like you're begging your SP, you're there to stalk them, you went to see if their car is at their place, or you ask your colleagues if your boss likes you or something. This shows that you do not trust yourself, you do not trust your power to create your reality, but rather you allow and you ask the 3D for information, you ask the 3D for an advice. So every time you take way too much action in the 3D to make it so, what you're actually doing is you're assuming that it is not so. That I'm not God, I'm not the operant power, so I'm double guessing my 3D, I'm double guessing what happens in the 3D so that I know I can adjust myself. But the thing is that your adjustment of self should never be based on the 3D. Your adjustment of self should be based on a simple question. What do I want? Do I prefer this or do I prefer that? Not because, I'm not saying that the adjustment, you see something in a 3D and then you find an excuse. Okay, I have to do more affirmations because I'm not God. So I have to force the 3D into becoming what I want. I'm not God. Therefore, more robotic affirmations, more techniques, and I should chase them more. I should beg them more. Maybe if I just do this, maybe if I show up with flowers, or I show up with a, I don't know, expensive gift, they'll forgive me, they'll take me back. Maybe if I convince them of my value, then I will be able to receive what I want. So this is taking way too more action in the 3D. It's not advisable, because instead of doing that, what you should do is you should take action in your mind. You should take action in your mindset, like decide what you want, know that it's going to be yours, and that's that. Okay. So avoid these 4 crucial mistakes if you want to have your manifestation fast, and avoid them, because why would you do them? Like the opera and power of your reality. The 3D is none of your business. The 3D is just your servant. So command it to be what you want. Okay. That's all for today, guys. I love you. Bye bye.